Sugar Cosmetics is painting the town red with a new fundraising round of 153 crore rupees led by Elevation Capital, formerly called SEF Partners. Sugar's lady boss, Vineeta Singh, now joining us right here on Startup Central. Hi Vineetha, congratulations. It's always a pleasure talking to you. This is a big fundraise.
Hi, Nayantara. Thank you so much for having me here. And I'm really excited that my favorite anchor is back to wearing lipsticks. I think that's the best news for us. Thank you very much for the wishes around the fundraise. It's always hard, no matter what stage of business you're in. And especially after 2020, we're very grateful.
You know what I found very interesting in your press release also was, Vineeta, that it's a big fundraise, but I saw one name, Stride. Now, Stride is primarily for venture debt. So, you know, is this round a mix of debt and equity?
Yes, very small part of it is debt, a 2 million fundraise from Stride Ventures. Our goal is long-term as a company. We're a very high gross margin business where a lot of capital actually goes into working capital. That's true for most FMCG companies. And so we want to get in the habit of working with debt as well and not using all our equity fundraisers for working capital alone. So directionally, in the long term, we want to be a company that will be sustaining on debt, and this is a good starting point for that.
In fact, this is a new trend that we're seeing very recently. For example, you had Bharat Pay also coming out with an announcement as far as venture debt goes. But I want to talk to you today about Sugar Cosmetics and the year you've had. You commented on my lipstick. I'm also wearing kajal and mascara. You know, with the era of masks, obviously lipsticks had to, you know, probably didn't do as well. But I'm guessing from this fundraise, you didn't have a bad 2020, that it did pick up. The sales did pick up?
Yes, we've had quite a positive end to 2020 for sure. Of course, the first quarter was pretty low. We started with zero. But by the quarter three, we were back to more than 150% of pre-COVID levels. And the interesting thing was that, you know, COVID makes you take some tough decisions which help you get profitable. So Q3, we were also profitable. And both of these have been pretty big wins for us. So yes, of course, we are not going to double this year over last year as we've been doing for many years. But the big good part of it is that we've grown significantly. And while we closed FY20 at 105 crore net revenue, we are now at an annual net revenue run rate of 200 crores. So it's not that as bad as it could have been.
You got an annual run rate of revenues at 200 crores, but what really stood out for me right now is that you said you were profitable in the third quarter. We don't normally hear startups coming on this show claiming to be profitable.
Well, consumer
You're an aberration.
This is a trend for most consumer brands. In fact, if you look at both these investors as well, A91, who's on our cap table, and Elevation, who's just joined, you know, their DNA and our DNA is quite similar. Stay very close to break even, so that as soon as there is any situation where the growth slows down, you can quickly turn to profitability. So our aspiration is to be a company that's significantly profitable, and even though we continue growing at 2x year on year.
So, you know, you've gone in for this big fundraise, 153 crore rupees, which is, you know, just 50 crores shy of your annual run rate of revenues. What's the plan?
So for us, we've discovered there are three pillars, apart from, of course, the working capital consumption. One is content. We've done a lot with content over the last 6 months. We have every month more than 250 million consumers interacting with our content. And we have an app which has more than 1 million downloads. So we intend to build a lot on top of that, because for cosmetics as a category, education goes hand in hand. Second, of course, distribution. We're at 10,000 doors. We want to go to up to 40,000 doors in the next 12 to 18 months. And then third would be product. Continue to deliver very high quality products focused on young millennial women.
So you're coming out with a new product line? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, we're coming up with new product ranges already under development. And the plan is that this 200 should double in the next 12 to 15 months with the help of growth in distribution as well as new products.
So Vineeta, you know, as you're growing, can you also tell us, you've had a good year, what your market share is? The number one is, you know, Lakme. How far are you from Lakme?
Yeah. Yeah. So Lakme, of course, is more than 1,000 crores, and we are at about a 200 crore net revenue run rate. And there are a couple of brands between us and Lakme as well. But I'm happy to share that in a lot of retail stores like Lifestyle, Health and Glow, Central, where ranks are shared on a monthly basis, we're consistently in the top 3 to top 5 brands that are in the store. So if you look at like the larger brands that are present, I think at least in the retail stores, we are well in the top 5 brands. So I think overall as well, market share wise, we should already be in the top 5 brands in the cosmetics category.
Okay. Now, I want to also talk to you a little bit about the fact that, the vaccination program has begun worldwide. There is what we call revenge shopping, right? Is that a reality? And looking at that, then, will Sugar bet more online or offline? Do you think you'll have to change your mix? Because I'm guessing in 2020, all of the push was online.
Right. So we've discovered that while we are an omni-channel brand, 9 out of 10 customers who end up shopping Sugar are inspired digitally. So we continue to focus on digital as the primary way to get into their mind space and have, get discovered. Although we expect that in the next 2 to 3 years, 60 to 70% of Sugar consumption will happen offline. So I think the two are really merging, and there is a very strong play for omni-channel retailers now because of the fact that consumers check out something in the store and then they shop it online. Sometimes they see it online on social media, on Instagram, and then they buy it offline. So I think both are going to coexist. For us, we are seeing already signs of revenge shopping offline. Offline was back to almost 100% store-wise in Q3. In Jan, from Republic Day onwards, we've seen insane numbers in stores. So the revenge shopping is really happening in full gusto, and we hope to leverage by the fact that we're present in 10,000 stores already.
So the idea is what? To enter more PIN codes?
Yes. So we're currently present in 130 cities. Very surprisingly, our mix of tier 2, tier 3 has significantly shot up in the last 6 to 12 months. So yes, we will be opening more of our own stores. So we have 45 of Sugar's own stores, which are primarily still in tier 1 cities. So we will be opening more Sugar stores in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And apart from that, of course, open more PIN codes through our retail partners.
So, Vineetha, what I found interesting was that you're going to come out with a product line which is for the younger people. Now, the younger people's purchasing power is obviously not as high as maybe the older people's. But I understand that you have to go after the Millenials and the Gen Z, all of that. I get all of that. But why now, especially when you are in this growth stage? Because they will bring you the numbers, they will bring you the eyeballs.
Yes, and it's also, everybody is now present on YouTube and Instagram, and both of these platforms work beautifully for us in terms of visual storytelling. So it's very easy for us to, share the brand story without having to go to a TVC. And that makes a big difference because these younger women are not relying on celebrities to make their purchase decisions. They're looking at other real women to inspire them. And I think, for us, the fact that we're very digital focused, the fact that we're very content focused, it works much better for Millennials and Gen Z than it would work for, say, the boomers, which is why our focus on them is going to further increase in the years to come.
Can you tell me a little bit of what the younger people's product line, how it can be different? Is it just on pricing and, besides obviously the bright colors and all of that?
Yeah. So firstly, of course, products which are much more suitable to Indian skin tone. So it doesn't have to be bright. It just has to work better for the warmer and the deeper skin tones. Having a larger mix of, products which are for deeper skin tones. And secondly, products that last much longer. So younger women want to spend like the entire day outside as opposed to their moms who are probably spending more time at home. So again, products that are extremely long lasting. And the third very interesting category that's emerging is hybrid products. So when you mix makeup and skincare and have products which feel very minimalistic and, don't feel like you've applied a lot of makeup, but are good for your skin, are, give you sun protection, are last all day, then, they reduce the number of steps in your beauty regime. And given the fact that the younger consumers are more on the move, they're going to resort to some of these hybrid products, which we've seen do very well in the last few months, and we're planning to double down on them.
What about men? You're not looking at the men's side of the business. I believe the men grooming business is turning out to be a big one.
It is booming for us because content and sharing is such an integral part of word of mouth, and the brand grows primarily on women fronting to each other, which is very different from how men shop. Men are like this black hole of information. They like something, they won't tell their friends about it. So the DNA for us is not exactly in line with what would work for a male grooming brand. But I agree, it's a super fast growing category, and there are a lot of brands doing some really interesting work around the men category.
So you're not looking at that space at all because they don't discuss, they don't share, and they don't talk about what works for their skin. But of course, the women's business is booming. Vineetha, before I let you go, do you think you'll ever want to get into the business of cosmetic aggregation at all, or is that something that you're not interested in?
We're very.
I'm talking about another MyGlam or another Nykaa, basically.
Yeah. For us, we love the fact that our business has massive gross margins, which you have only once you're vertically integrated and you produce your own products. And that allows us to spend a lot more on packaging, on branding, on communication, content, and we like that. So we like that sweet spot. So we'd rather, continue to grow at like 2x year on year than grow 5x, but with lower gross margins. And that's why aggregation business is not for us.
And Vineetha, what the other big trend that we saw in 2020 and is going to perhaps be the big one for 2021 also is how direct to consumer has really picked up. Sugar made some big steps in that.
Yeah. So our app actually, very surprisingly, everybody says that who's going to download a brand's app, but we have more than 1 million downloads on our app with 4.7 star rating because it's very convenient for customers to shop at a place where they can learn after their purchase, before they purchase, upload their videos. So, our app works beautifully. And that's why direct to consumer for us is 90% our app. And that's done really well. And along with the boost that we've got on social media, especially in the last 6 months, we do expect that D2C for us would be 25 to 30% of our revenue at steady state.
Now, before I let you go, I want to ask you something. Are lipstick sales back?
Yes.
You're going to cover it with a mask? What's the point? Or is it good enough for the Zoom calls and a little bit of opening that's happened?
Lipstick sales are back. We did see a 5% movement from lips to eyes and face as a category. But overall, in terms of like the number that lips were doing, they're absolutely back. There is a preference towards those no transfer lipsticks. So if you're wearing it under the mask, it will not come onto the mask, and that's a very big criterion. So I've seen all those creamy lipsticks drop in sales and all the non-transfer liquid lipsticks go up. But they're absolutely back. And I don't know if you're seeing women on the road. I'm seeing a lot of them. Whenever they take their mask off, they've got the lipstick on.
With that, Vineetha, we wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for giving us time and being a part of StartUp Central.
Thanks, Neta. Always lovely talking to you.